The moving truck rumbled away, leaving Sarah and David standing before their new home. They watched as the truck disappeared down the long winding driveway, the sound of its engine fading into the distance. It was a Victorian mansion, stately and imposing, with an air of grandeur that spoke of a bygone era. The house seemed to loom over them, its presence both majestic and slightly intimidating. Its gables reached towards the sky like grasping claws, as if trying to hold onto the clouds. The intricate woodwork and ornate details were a testament to the craftsmanship of the past. Ivy, thick and ancient, crawled across the brick facade, weaving a tapestry of green that added to the house's mysterious allure. The ivy seemed to pulse with life, as if it had a story of its own to tell. The windows, dark and vacant, seemed to watch the young couple. They were like eyes, observing silently, holding secrets of the past within their depths.
It's perfect! Sarah's voice was filled with a sense of wonder and excitement, her mind already racing with possibilities.
Sarah breathed, her voice filled with excitement. She could hardly contain her enthusiasm as she imagined the life they would build here. She squeezed David's hand, her eyes sparkling with dreams of the future. This house, with all its history and character, was the perfect canvas for their new beginning.
Yeah, it really is. David's agreement was genuine, but there was an undercurrent of unease in his voice.
He smiled back, though a shiver ran down his spine. The house, despite its beauty, had an unsettling aura that he couldn't quite shake. The house held a certain energy, a palpable hum that set his teeth on edge. It was as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets, just out of earshot. Despite its age and the faint scent of decay, the house held a strange charm. The peeling wallpaper and creaking floorboards only added to its character, telling tales of the lives that had passed through its walls. Sunlight filtering through the dusty windows illuminated motes of dust dancing in the air. The light created patterns on the floor, adding a touch of magic to the otherwise somber atmosphere. The air was still, heavy with the silence of ages. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a quiet that held the weight of countless memories. They stepped inside, their footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. Each step seemed to reverberate through the house, as if the building itself was acknowledging their presence. The house seemed to sigh around them, a low groan of welcome or perhaps warning. It was a sound that sent a chill down David's spine, but Sarah seemed unfazed. As they explored their new home, Sarah chatted excitedly about their plans. Her voice filled the empty rooms, bringing a sense of life and energy to the old house.
We could turn this room into a library and maybe put a garden out back. Her imagination was already transforming the space, seeing potential in every corner.
David, however, couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every creak and shadow seemed to hold a hidden presence, making him glance over his shoulder repeatedly. Shadows seemed to dance at the edge of his vision. They flickered and shifted, creating shapes that vanished as soon as he tried to focus on them. The air grew colder as they ventured deeper into the house. It was a chill that seemed to seep into their bones, making David's unease grow with each step. By the time they reached the top floor, David was ready to leave. The oppressive atmosphere was almost too much for him, but he didn't want to dampen Sarah's excitement. But Sarah, her eyes shining with excitement, was just getting started. She saw endless possibilities in every room, her enthusiasm unwavering despite the house's eerie ambience. As days turned into weeks, Sarah threw herself into unpacking and decorating. She meticulously arranged each room, hoping to breathe new life into the old house. The walls, once bare and lifeless, began to reflect her personality, adorned with paintings and photographs that told stories of happier times. The scent of fresh flowers filled the air, mingling with the faint, musty aroma of the house's history. David, however, found himself increasingly drawn to the house's mysteries. The creaking floorboards and the distant echoes seemed to call out to him, urging him to uncover the secrets hidden within its walls. He wandered through the dimly lit corridors, his mind racing with questions about the lives that once inhabited this place. He spent hours exploring the dusty attic, poring over old books and faded photographs. Each item he discovered felt like a piece of a larger puzzle, fragments of a story waiting to be told. The attic, with its cobwebs and forgotten relics, became his sanctuary, a place where the past and present seemed to converge. The house seemed to whisper its secrets to him, Faint murmurs carried on the wind. He would often pause, straining to catch the elusive voices that seemed to drift through the air. It was as if the very walls were alive, sharing their tales with anyone willing to listen. One afternoon, while exploring the basement, David stumbled upon a locked door. The door was hidden behind a stack of old crates, almost as if someone had tried to conceal it. His curiosity piqued. He wondered what lay beyond it. It was made of heavy oak, reinforced with iron bars. The craftsmanship was intricate, suggesting that whatever was behind it was of great importance. David ran his fingers over the cold metal, feeling a strange connection to the door, as if it held the answers he sought. A cold draft emanated from beneath it, sending shivers down his spine. The chill seemed to seep into his bones, a stark contrast to the warmth of the summer day outside. He couldn't shake the feeling that the door was guarding something that didn't want to be found.
What is this place? He wondered aloud, his voice barely a whisper in the oppressive silence.
Curious, he tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. He pushed and pulled, but the door remained steadfast, as if it were protecting its secrets with an unyielding resolve. Something about the door, its impenetrable darkness, filled him with a sense of dread. It was as if the door itself was warning him to stay away, to leave the past undisturbed. Meanwhile, Sarah began experiencing strange dreams. Each night, as she drifted off to sleep, her mind would be transported to a different time, a different place. The dreams were vivid, almost too real, leaving her feeling disoriented and uneasy. She would wake in the middle of the night, her heart pounding, her sheets drenched in sweat. The dreams left her feeling as if she had been running, fleeing from something unseen and terrifying. Each dream was the same, a young girl, her face obscured by shadows, standing at the foot of the bed. The girl's presence was both haunting and sorrowful, her eyes filled with a sadness that seemed to reach into Sarah's soul. Her voice, a mournful whisper, seemed to seep into Sarah's very bones. The words were always the same, a warning that echoed in the silence of the night.
Beware, beware the darkness that lingers here. Do not open the forbidden door. The girl's voice was filled with an urgency that sent chills down Sarah's spine.
Sarah would try to speak, to ask the girl what she meant, but her voice wouldn't come out. It was as if an invisible force was holding her back, preventing her from seeking the answers she desperately needed. She would wake up gasping for air, the girl's warning echoing in her ears. The fear lingered long after she awoke, a constant reminder of the darkness that seemed to envelop the house. One evening, while dusting the library, Sarah's hand brushed against something cold and metallic hidden behind a stack of books. The sensation was jarring, pulling her out of her thoughts and back into the present. She pulled it out, her fingers closing around an ornate key. The key was unlike anything she had ever seen, its intricate design hinting at a time long past. It was old, tarnished with age, and surprisingly heavy. The weight of it in her hand felt significant, as if it held the power to unlock more than just a door. Intrigued, Sarah turned the key over in her hands, a strange sense of foreboding washing over her. She couldn't shake the feeling that this key was connected to the dreams, to the warnings, and to the mysteries that David was so intent on uncovering. The key seemed to pulse with a life of its own, a silent promise of revelations yet to come. That night, Sarah's dream returned. The young girl stood before her, her form shimmering like heat haze. Her voice, filled with a desperate urgency, seemed to claw at Sarah's sanity.
Don't open the door, it's not safe, he's waiting.
Sarah's breath caught in her throat.
Who's waiting?
She choked out, her voice a strangled whisper, but the girl just shook her head, her features contorting in a silent scream. Then she dissolved into mist, leaving Sarah alone in the suffocating darkness. Sarah woke with a gasp, her heart pounding against her ribs. The dream felt different this time, more vivid, more real. The girl's warning echoed in her ears, filling her with a sense of dread. She could still feel the girl's terror, taste the fear that clung to her like cobwebs. As the days passed, Sarah found herself drawn to the old key. It beckoned her, a tangible reminder of the dream and the warning it held. She tried to ignore it, to focus on her life with David, but the key held a strange power over her. It whispered promises of secrets revealed, of mysteries solved. Sarah's curiosity, piqued by the nightmares and fueled by the key, grew with each passing day. The locked door, hidden away in the depths of the basement, became an obsession.
I know I shouldn't, but the urge to unlock the door, to uncover the secrets hidden within, is too strong to resist.
David, sensing her growing unease, tried to distract her.
Maybe we should take a vacation, get away from the house and its oppressive atmosphere.
But Sarah, her mind consumed by the locked door and the dream, could think of nothing else. One afternoon, while David was at work, Sarah found herself standing before the basement door. The key felt heavy in her hand, cold against her palm. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic tattoo of fear and anticipation.
I know I shouldn't, but the pull is too strong to resist.
Taking a deep breath, Sarah slid the key into the lock. It turned with a heavy thunk, the sound echoing through the silent basement. The air grew colder, the hair on the back of her neck prickling with unease. A low growl, barely audible, seemed to emanate from the other side of the door. Sarah hesitated for a moment, fear battling with curiosity. She stood at the threshold, her heart pounding in her chest. The darkness beyond the door seemed to whisper to her, beckoning her to step inside. She knew she shouldn't, but the pull was irresistible. The girl's warning echoed in her mind, but it was a distant whisper compared to the siren song of the unknown. The memory of the girl's fearful eyes and urgent words tried to anchor her, but the allure of the mystery was too strong. What could be hidden behind that door? What secrets lay in wait?
I've come this far. I can't turn back now. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of her determination. She had faced so much to get here, and turning back now felt like a betrayal of her own courage.
With a deep breath, Sarah pushed open the heavy oak door. The wood was cold and rough under her fingers, and she had to use all her strength to move it. The door groaned in protest, as if it too wanted to keep its secrets hidden. It creaked open, its hinges protesting after years of disuse. The sound echoed in the silence, a mournful wail that sent shivers down her spine. It was as if the house itself was warning her to stay away. The air inside was stale and cold, thick with the scent of decay and something else, something ancient and evil. It was a smell that spoke of forgotten times and dark deeds, of things best left undisturbed. Sarah's stomach churned, a wave of nausea washing over her. She fought the urge to turn and run, forcing herself to take another step forward. The room seemed to close in around her, the darkness pressing against her like a living thing. The room was small and dusty, illuminated only by the sliver of light spilling in from the hallway. Shadows danced on the walls, creating eerie shapes that seemed to move and shift as she watched. Cobwebs hung from every corner and dust covered every surface. It was clear that no one had been here for a very long time. The room felt like a tomb, a place where time had stopped. In the center of the room stood a large ornate mirror, its silver backing blackened with age. The mirror seemed to draw her in, its surface dark and foreboding. What would she see if she looked into it? What secrets did it hold? As Sarah stepped inside, a cold wind slammed the door shut behind her. The sound was like a gunshot, loud and final. She was trapped. Panic welled in Sarah's chest, constricting her throat. She could feel her heart racing, her breath coming in short, desperate gasps. The room seemed to grow darker, the shadows closing in around her. She spun around, her hand reaching for the doorknob, but it wouldn't turn. She pulled and twisted, but it was no use. The door was locked, and she was trapped inside. It was as if an unseen hand held it fast, refusing to let her escape. She could feel the cold metal under her fingers, but it might as well have been a solid wall. The temperature plummeted, and the air grew thick with a palpable sense of menace. She could see her breath in the air, each exhale a small cloud of mist. The room felt alive, watching her, waiting.
Oh no, I can't get out. Sarah's voice was a whisper, filled with fear and desperation. She banged on the door, hoping someone would hear her, but the house remained silent. She was alone, trapped in the darkness, with whatever ancient evil lurked within.